everyone, welcome to another exciting edition of Mamdi's Lounge.
Mamdi's Lounge Season 2 is here, and it keeps getting bigger and better. Our conversations are spicy with guests that give in-depth insights to every topic. It's Mamdi's Lounge, your one-stop shop for great conversations.
We know that when there are crises, women are usually the first responders. They come to the community, they help out.
The bride price is not looked at as placing a value on the woman. It's looked as a commitment.
So I think it is something we should look at. It's endemic in our society. And for us to address it, it's going to take a national call.
Every Thursday, 8 p.m. on AYV TV, Channel 33.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Mamdi's Lounge. Today we are coming to you from the Golden Tulip Essential Kimbima Hotel. And in this edition, we are talking about love. I mean, we are seated here, listening to the waves from the Atlantic Ocean. And I have my guest here today, including, of course, my regular lounge members. I have Mrs. Tifadluddin and Mercy Navu. Welcome to the lounge, ladies. All right, Hannah and John are also here in the lounge today to help talk about this topic about love.
Yeah.
All right, this is Mamdi's Lounge. Like I mentioned to you, we're coming to you from the Golden Tulip Essential Kimbima Hotel. And today we will be talking about love, forsaking family and country for love. Both ladies on the lounge today are non-Sierra Leoneans who got married to Sierra Leonean men, left their families and country to a totally new destination, Sierra Leone, for the sake of love. Dr. Fadluddin is from Singapore, and Mercy is a Trinidadian all the way from Trinidad and Tobago. We'll come back and continue with the conversation after this break.
With MP, your safety comes first. In case of an emergency gas fire from our gas cans, 1. Use your finger to block the knob opening of your gas can. 2. Use a wet cloth and put it over the flame and the knob. Or 3. Wrap the tank with the wet towel and the flames will go out. Take a rubber bucket and cover the tank. At MP, your safety is our paramount concern.
Na the EcoBank Microfinance, we don't find easy way for you picking them better one to Marabambai. We don't find way for put money inside you small business them, no matter how small the business be. EcoBank Microfinance, they're also glad for make your business grow. In not happening, we ready for give you all the financial support for make you team up Tranga one. So now for come with we on this new journey, we say all you dream then will come true. So now for just come, now the EcoBank Microfinance office, we say you go learn how for open up savings and current accounts for you picking them, get money for you small business them, and send money na 33 countries inside Africa, and also open up savings and current account. Visit we now any of them branches soon. Begin and end your day with Glady EcoBank Microfinance with the help you small business them for team up Tranga one.
The Asma James Foundation improves the lives of girls from marginalized backgrounds by giving them access to reproductive health education, scholarships, mentoring, and life skills training. We also use the media to advocate for policies that positively impact women and girls across Sierra Leone. Asma James Foundation, providing adolescent reproductive health education and services to girls in Sierra Leone.
All right, welcome back. This is Mamdi's Lounge coming to you from AYV. Today we are at Golden Tulip Essential Kimbima, and today we have Antiquities from Singapore and Mercy's from Trinidad. They left their home country and families to come here to Sierra Leone, all in the name of love. Now, ladies, I'll start with you, Dr. Fadluddin. Why would you leave your country? I mean, I know I mentioned something about leaving your country for love, but also, what's that one thing that made you, did you ever think of leaving Singapore at any time in your life?
Yes, I knew that I had to leave for studies.
Okay.
That was something I knew I would want to do that. But to think that I would be so far away and be here for so many years, that never occurred to me. But I wouldn't change it for anything in the world.
Nice. Okay, so I'll ask you the same question, Mercy. Did you at any point think that you would leave Trinidad for anything? Like faraway land like Sierra Leone?
Like Auntie Kitty, I never thought that it will be as far away as Sierra Leone. But I found something that brought me all the way here and has kept me here all these years.
Okay. I mean, this is very interesting, guys. Mrs. Fadluddin is from Singapore, she's from Trinidad, and they're here, you know, been here. How long have you been here for?
I've been here this 12 years.
Okay. And you, Auntie Kitty?
Since 1970, you have to work that out.
Wow. 1970.
I always say, maybe it's before you were born, I don't know.
Definitely before I was born. Wow, guys. Definitely. So what attracted you to him? Or you both to each other?
Well, it's a funny thing. You don't fall in love like they say in the textbooks. You get to love the person. I mean, he was so different that I would not have thought that he would be anybody that I would be interested in, sort of thing.
Tell me, what was then, I mean, a young lady from Singapore, I don't know if people from Singapore, ladies from Singapore have a certain type of spec that they look for in a man. Naturally, you come from a country where you say Eurasians.
Yes, yes.
And naturally, they wouldn't go for black men, would they?
Yes, so you're absolutely right. We have in our culture some things that I don't like. For example, knowing that you have a friend who is darker in complexion than you, let's put it that way, that is not exactly acceptable.
Wow.
So that's what I grew up with. So like you said, what attracted me to him, it was certainly not his complexion. So, but later on when we met again, it was like you get to find the spirit of the person, and you get to find the soul of the person. And then you say, yes, that's something that is compatible to what I'm looking for and what I am myself. So that's
so
how
what was it
started.
in him? The soul?
The soul, that he was very gentle, first of all. Very gentle and very caring, compassionate, and he was, of course, learning to be a medical doctor, so he had to have those attributes. But then he had a lovely bedside manner, and I often thought anybody who went to him as a patient would automatically feel very relaxed and comfortable with his bedside manner. And then he danced very well.
He danced very well.
He danced very well. And he had a rhythm that you don't find in where I come from, people who have a natural rhythm, and you know, it's not made up, it's just very natural and very comfortable in his arms, and so that's how it became gradually.
He swept you off your feet. Interesting. And Mercy, how did you meet your husband?
So my husband and I, we studied at the same university. We sat in several classes together. He was the first one to express interest in me. In the early stages, it wasn't reciprocated. I didn't feel the same way. But his persistence, his personality, as Auntie Kitty said, having spent time with him, talking with him, realized that we had a lot in common. He's extremely funny. He makes me laugh. I love to laugh. He's kind, caring, very patient, and those are just some of the attributes that drew me to him, that made me eventually also feel the same way as he did.
Mamdi, there's a common thread. You know, if you listen to both Auntie Kitty and Mercy, they're saying they fell in love, or you know, grew to love the personality of the person,
rather than, you know, just where the person came from or what the person, you know, was doing as well. But also the common thread is they met at a different setting. Mm-hmm. Now, so the question I want to ask them, your husband, let's have a scenario created. If you guys would have met in your country, you still would be able to reciprocate to, like you said, he showed interest first, yeah? Mm-hmm. Would you have still fallen in love with him? The same question, Auntie Kitty. If it wasn't a neutral environment where you went to study, and then of course you expressed interest, and then you were together for a while, you grew interest, and here you are married and you're entirely on 9 years now? 12 years now.
It's his personality, it's his character, it's who he is. So regardless of the location, I think it would have been the same.
In your case, your environment, where you come from, you mentioned that they have their own certain things that they would encourage and not encourage. So they would kind of be against an interracial relationship. So probably, do you see a situation where if you had met in Singapore that the relationship would not have happened at all?
Yes. It would have been very different had I met him in Singapore. Very different. There would have been all kinds of talk, as they say, and pressure, etc., etc. And meeting in a neutral ground allows you to be yourself rather than be influenced by family, friends, etc., etc. So it's much easier for an interracial relationship to happen successfully on neutral ground. I've often thought about this, and I've often thought, yes, for us it would have worked out that we were on neutral ground and actually stayed long enough on neutral ground to strengthen our relationship. Because I often think if we had come back here or gone over to it may not have been so successful.
You know why I asked that question? I did a little bit of research, and I found out that most of the relationships, intercontinental, interracial, the reason why they're successful was they met on neutral ground. Most of them, if you go through the stories, they met well, they migrated from one country to the other, they're settling down, things are working well for them, they met. They met at the university where they were studying together, and you know that's a different melting pot altogether, because you get to discover the true personality of the person, you get to talk a lot more, and the external pressures, like Auntie Kitty mentioned, in some cases are non-existent. No pressure from family, no pressure from people around, no pressure from the cultural shock or identity that you would have as a person entering into a relationship. So it stood out for me while I was doing the research. And I asked a few friends as well. One who's married to a Nigerian, and the other who's married to Scottish. Now, about how they met, what happened, how have they progressed, how are they dealing with the issue of food, how are they dealing with the issue of family, how are they blending, how are they getting things, you know, on the balance to ensure that you know, if my husband is giving in A, I should ensure that I give in B to keep the balance and to get the family going. So that was why I asked the question about having a neutral ground where they meet, to ensure that it runs through most of the relationships, but also how would that affect, or you know, meeting on the soil of your husband or the soil of your wife, you know, how would that affect output, or generally going forward with the growth or strength of the relationship? That was why I asked that question, Mamdi.
Very interesting. Now, I know, of course, we've established the fact that I agree with you, John, you know, on so many, on that particular front, that relationships, you know, that happen most of the time on neutral grounds, you know, has a tendency of staying on. I mean, rather than those, you know, that happen in, you know, places like you mentioned in the same country and all of that. But of course, Auntie Kitty, you guys are coming from far, far, far away places, different culture, you know, different beliefs, different family approach, and a lot of other things. So how easy were you to sort of gel in to the Sierra Leone situation? Because Singapore, obviously, as much as it's far away from Sierra Leone, there are vast differences between the two cultures. So how easy was it for you to, you know, gel into the Sierra Leone situation when you got here?
Well, when you say we have a different culture, actually, there is a lot in common because both of us grew up in families that respected the elders. That's part of culture. Okay. Both of us grew up in families where education was important. That's part of culture. We had a lot in common culturally. Right. We also believed that we should grow up with children. We should be part of the upbringing of the child. Of course, both of us came from authoritarian backgrounds in a sense, and we did actually have to sort of come to some compromise as times moved on and the way of bringing up children changed. So we actually found that we were on a learning curve in that way. And I want to say there's no school where you go to learn to be a parent. We kept making mistakes all the time. But
hold on. Did you not find a problem like where you were coming from, where your husband was coming from, that there was a clash when it came to the upbringing of the kids?
Not really, no, because we both came from cultures where when daddy speaks, you keep quiet. And the children grew up in a sort of loving household, but knew that their boundaries were there, so to speak. When I grew up, my father wouldn't let me out of his sight in the sense that if I went anywhere after school, I was to tell him where I was going, and I should tell him what time I was coming home. And I remember coming home one day after the time, and he was quite annoyed, and he had to make me promise that I wouldn't do that again. So for the girl child, this is what is you go through. And I think that still holds in this society. There's no change in that. You still look after your girl child in a much more protective manner than you do the male child. So there was that in common as well. As for food, yes, that was very different, okay? Food was very different because we grew up in a culture where we eat a lot of fresh vegetables and we eat a lot of pork and everything is, differently prepared. Okay. But we also had pepper. We also eat pepper, so that was not different for me. I could eat pepper already when I came here.
And rice?
Oh yeah, and the rice is our staple as well. But we don't eat these huge amounts of rice that you do.
All right, Kitty, let me stop you there for now. We'll go for a quick break. We'll come back and continue with the conversation. This is Mamdi's Lounge coming to you on AYV Television. Today, we are at Golden Tulip Essential Kimbima out here at Aberdeen, and we're talking about love. We have two ladies in the lounge, and they've been sharing their stories with us. We'll come back and continue with the conversation after this break.
With MP, your safety comes first. In case of an emergency gas fire from our gas cans, 1. Use your finger to block the knob opening of your gas can. 2. Use a wet cloth and put it over the flame and the knob. Or 3. Wrap the tank with the wet towel and the flames will go out. Take a rubber bucket and cover the tank. At MP, your safety is our paramount concern.
Na the EcoBank microfinance, we don't find easy way for you picking them better one to Marabambai. We don't find way for put money inside you small business them, no matter how small the business be. EcoBank microfinance, they're also glad for make your business grow. In not Tapado, we ready for give you all the financial support for make you team up Tranga one. So now for come with we on this new journey, we say all you dream then will come true. So now for just come, now the EcoBank microfinance office, also you go learn how for open up savings and current accounts for you picking them, get money for you small business them, and send money na 33 countries inside Africa, and also open up savings and current account. Visit we now any of them branches soon. Begin and end your day with Glady EcoBank Microfinance with the help you small business them for team up Tiganga one.
Quality electrical products now in Sierra Leone. Looking for cables? Ask for Havels. Havels cables don't catch fire. Looking for lights? Ask for Havels. Havels lights come with 1-year warranty. Havels products available in all stores nationwide. Or ask at Insons, 52 Shaka Stevens Street, Freetown. Or online at www.insons.net.
The Asthma James Foundation improves the lives of girls from marginalized backgrounds by giving them access to reproductive health education, scholarships, mentoring, and life skills training. We also use the media to advocate for policies that positively impact women and girls across Sierra Leone. Asthma James Foundation, providing adolescent reproductive health education and services to girls in Sierra Leone.
All right, welcome back. This is Mamdi's Lounge coming to you from AYV. Today we are at Golden Tulip Essential Kimbima, and today we have Antiquities from Singapore and Mercies from Trinidad. They left their home country and families to come here to Sierra Leone, all in the name of love. So we're having a chat with them this day, and it's been very interesting because they've shared their stories with us, and we'll continue with the conversation. Mercy, I'll also ask you the same question as Auntie Kitty. Now, Trinidad, I don't know much about their culture, but what is it, I'm sure there are differences, certainly, between Trinidad and Sierra Leone. So what is it that really is totally different that you had to do a lot of adjustment to coming here in Sierra Leone?
Okay, so some of the obvious things were when I came, it's a totally different language that I had to adjust myself to. We speak English only in Trinidad, right? We have different races, but we don't have different ethnic groups. So it's English across the board. So when we came, the language barrier was definitely one for me. Food, the food is very different. So it's something that I had to get used to, but I do love the food now. Also, I think in this culture, family has a lot of input. Family tends to, they give their opinions. In some families, they are very dominating, even within your marriage, within your marital household, right? So that was definitely something that was a cultural shock for me. But my husband, he was able to bring the balance very well, to make sure that I was comfortable, that we maintained our privacy, that we were given space to grow as a young couple, establish our own values, our own family, traditions and stuff like that, as well as keeping the respect for his family, making sure that they still felt loved and they weren't offended. So he was able to draw that line respectfully for them and also lovingly for me, so that I felt at home and I felt comfortable and I was able to grow as a wife, to grow as, I got married at the age of 26, right? So, you're still kind of young, right? And it's the first time that you're running your own household. It's the first time that you're in control of things. So he made sure, I think that was one of the major things for me, the family input into the marriage. Yeah.
That's kind of an issue here that's very important in mixed marriages, wherein people come from different countries. And we just heard Mercy, Dr. Faduddin. What about you? And you also, to an extent, Mercy. We have the extended family, and I don't know if in your own situations where you came from, it was the same.
My own immediate family is small compared to other families. I just have two siblings and myself. And even in the cousins area, there are very few, 1, 2, that sort of thing. But I know that in my husband's family, there are enormous extensions of family.
Branches.
I'm still discovering them now.
Wow.
But it's okay. Again, like Mercy said, my husband was, he kept us in our own environment, so to speak, and he kept his family, what he had to do for the family, and he had a lot to do for the family and his community, because he was Al-Qadi in his community. So we had to always realize that his time was his time. That's where he needs to go, and we are okay with that. And we got used to the fact that he has to serve that community.
There was no conflict.
No conflict, no, because, and my family, his family, are the nicest family I can ever get
They
married
totally
to.
accepted you.
Yes, in fact, they treat me like a princess sometimes.
Oh wow!
but I never stop talking about the fact that they have been absolutely wonderful to me, and they've left me alone, and they've got me in whenever it was necessary or whatever it is. I feel very loved by them.
Did you ever get to meet your in-laws?
Where, before I got married?
Yes.
Oh.
Well, were they still around when you got married?
Yes, we got married abroad. Yes, and I did. Yes, we didn't come back here to get married. Because we were still studying. I mean, we hadn't the money, in fact, and we didn't. We had friends there who we wanted to share the day with, whom we knew. Like there were 22 nationalities at our wedding. We had many different types of friends there, and that's what happened.
You know, there are a few more things maybe they will need to, because obviously this will be like a question and answer session for us, because we want to, you know, get as much as we can glean from your experiences. Now, there are a few things as well to consider, Hannah. When they meet, now, you have a situation where like they are meeting on a different soil, they're studying. B, you have another situation where they're they're just migrating to a country to maybe work. They meet in that kind of setting. And then C, you have a situation where one person would move from his country to another country and meet, you know, the spouse in that land. And then you have another situation where they have to now decide, after, you know, getting to know each other, they have to now decide, where are we heading with the relationship? Now, are we going to stay on a different soil, or are we going to stay from our different cultures and stress from our different families? You know, that's what I truly mean. Or are they now going to move from where they are to the spouse's country? Like in your case, what was brought into consideration when you did that? Whose decision was it to move from where you met to the country to where you are now? Yes. Was it just a situation where it's because that's my husband and I have to I'm ready to go all the way. I'm ready to go all the way? Or was it something you really sat down, had a discussion, you know, had a conversation about, and then, you know, you got to the point where you said, listen, I'll go with you to Sierra Leone? Was it the case?
Is it about the situation of a man saying, I am the man, you have to be where I am?
Exactly.
Yes. So,
go ahead. Okay. So in my situation, we met in London, right, at university, as I said. When we started to discuss the idea of getting married and where we will live, right, once we are married, we had three options available to us. We could either remain in the UK, we could return to my country, which is Trinidad and Tobago. That's where we actually had the wedding ceremony. Or we could come to Sierra Leone. So my husband said to me, listen, you are going to be my wife. I want you to be comfortable. I want you to be happy. And so therefore I am giving you the choice as to where you would like us to live. But that being said, he thinks that coming back to Sierra Leone would be a better option for the family because it's his homeland. In the UK, we're foreigners. right? We're not citizens. Things are always that much more difficult when you're non-citizens there. He coming back to my country, he won't be a citizen immediately. He has no roots there. He'll have to start afresh. And he felt that he's the man of the family, he's the leader. He has to protect and to provide. And so he just felt that Sierra Leone would have been a better springboard for him. So I went away with those things and I thought about it, and I had my family and my relatives saying like, stay in the UK or choose Trinidad. Why would you go to Sierra Leone? Why would you stay in Trinidad? You don't have any friends in Sierra Leone, you have no family, it's a new language, you have to start all over. Because it's only my husband that I know nobody else. This is me moving from everything that I have known. Having to depend upon, rely upon, and trust this man, right, who is now my husband. And I thought about it, and I chose to come to Sierra Leone just because I heard what he said, and I trusted him, and I wanted to give him the best springboard that he could get to realize his dreams and his desires. And I mean, our dreams, we had a lot in common. We have a lot of desires in common as well. And so I just decided, you know what, let me trust him.
Marcy, when you were in the UK with your husband, you studied law, right?
Yes, we did.
And you currently do not practice.
I don't practice.
So that brings me to the issue of how much of yourself you lose when you make a decision, a life-changing decision to leave your home country and now to come and start a family on your own. And like you said, just trust this man.
Yeah. So the aspect of me not practicing law, this was something that was decided before I even got married to my husband. Like, in the second year of my course, I decided this is not for me. I don't want to be a lawyer. I don't want to do this anymore. I have a different interest. But family and friends were like, you've come this far already. Just complete it. You just have one more year left, so just do it, and that's it. So we came here. So as I said, I didn't further my studies in law. I did support him at his chamber. He has his own chamber. So I do continue to lend support to him.
Okay.
As to the question as to how much of yourself do you lose? This is something that I think about sometimes, I don't regret at all being married to who I am married to. I don't regret coming to Sierra Leone and being here. But sometimes you're like, if I didn't come to Sierra Leone, like what would I have been doing that's different? I must say, in the early stages, a lot of the things that I had plans for, I had to put on hold, not because he wanted me to or he told me to, but the circumstances at the time. You're young. He left Sierra Leone at the turbulent time during the war and stuff like that, so he left basically nothing here. He had no real roots here. So when we came, it was really starting afresh. We both were students. He came to attend the law school. So when I came, we had nothing, right? So it's like starting from scratch, from the very beginning.
Let me leave my home for a man who's going to give me a lot of money and all of that.
Right.
But then in your case, it was purely because you loved him.
It was more than loving him. I mean, I loved him. And in addition to that, I saw in him a persistence, a drive, a purpose. He had a purpose, he had a plan for his life, he had a plan for our lives. And it wasn't just about talking about it. It wasn't just about dreaming about it, but he was actually doing things and putting things in place to achieve that goal for us. And that made me feel safe. That made me feel comfortable and secure that, we have this dream together, he has his plan, and we are moving towards it. I'm not going to meet a man that's already made. I'm not going to meet a man that we have a house built and we have all of this, but we will have the opportunity to build together and go through hardships together, because you do face challenges. Right? So,
ma'am, before getting to Auntie Kippy, there's this question, of course, Auntie Kippy is going to answer as well. Were you thinking about, you mentioned, you said you're going to study law but don't want to practice. But have you at any point in time, or were you thinking that I want to get married to a man from another country? Or would put it in quotes, was it an evolution of love that it just happened? And here you are today.
I think I'll have to go with the B, because I never had any idea that I would be married to somebody from a different country. It never crossed my mind. I always had the desire to get married, yes, but I never really went past that point to say, okay, I'll be married to somebody from this part of the world or that part of the world, and we move. So yeah, it was something that evolved.
So let's have a ticket to say,
Yes,
because the question was thrown for the both of them, right? Yeah, so I'd like to hear. Yeah.
Okay, why did we choose to come back? That was the original question.
And how did you arrive at the decision to come back to?
Okay, that was not too hard, because my mother-in-law had come to visit us in Dublin on medical grounds, and she wasn't well. And we knew, but she didn't know, that she didn't have long to live. So when she came back home to Freetown, after he qualified and he was already done his housemanship for the year, we decided that we would come back home here to his home, so that his mother would have the satisfaction of showing off her son, who is now a graduate doctor. We said,
that is so African.
Yes. So and I understand that too, because to us the medical profession is like the height of all professions, and for a parent to have gotten a child through that stage is some big deal. So we said, there was all sorts of temptations to stay there, to go to Canada. That was the fashion at that time. All medical doctors, they migrated to Canada, did their exams, etc. But we said, no, we will come back so that she will have that. She didn't have long to live. So we said, let us do that for her. And that's why we came back. And he never told me what Sierra Leone was like. I kept asking him, what is it like there? He said, you'll see when you get there. So I had no clue what I was coming to. But like you said, it's faith, and you just trust that. And we came back by boat, by the way. Those days. We came back by the Elder Dempster liner.
Wow.
Yes, that's how far back we go.
How long did the journey take?
About 9 days.
Years ago, right?
9 days?
Yes, about 9 days, yes.
Okay.
So Auntie Kitty, so I know you said you trusted him. Obviously, that must have been deep love, apart from trust. So you studied, in the UK with him. It's okay. We're going for another break. We'll come back and continue with the conversation. This is Mamdi's Lounge, and we're having a really very interesting conversation from our guests here, Azikiti Fadluddin, and also Mercy Neville. Of course, Hannah and John are also in the lounge today. We are really having a good time in this particular edition of the program. We'll be right back after this break.
With MP, your safety comes first. In case of an emergency gas fire, from our gas cans, 1. Use your finger to block the knob opening of your gas can. 2. Use a wet cloth and put it over the flame and the knob. Or 3. Wrap the tank with the wet towel and the flames will go out. Take a rubber bucket and cover the tank. At NP, your safety is our paramount concern.
Na the EcoBank microfinance, we don't find easy way for you picking them better one to Marabambai. We don't find way for put money inside you small business them, no matter how small the business be. EcoBank microfinance, they're also glad for make your business grow. In not though, we ready for give you all the financial support for make you team up Tranga one. So now for come with we on this new journey, we say all you dream then will come true. So now for just come, now the EcoBank microfinance office, also you go learn how for open up savings and current accounts for you picking them, get money for you small business them, and send money now 33 countries inside Africa, and also open up savings and current account. Visit we now any of them branches soon. Begin and end your day with gladdy. EcoBank Microfinance with the help you small business them for team up Tiganga one.
Quality electrical products now in Sierra Leone. Looking for cables? Ask for Havels. Havels cables don't catch fire. Looking for lights? Ask for Havels. Havels lights come with 1-year warranty. Havels products available in all stores nationwide. Or ask at Insons, 52 Shaka Stevens Street, Freetown. Or online at www.insons.net.
The Asma James Foundation improves the lives of girls from marginalized backgrounds by giving them access to reproductive health education, scholarships, mentoring, and life skills training. We also use the media to advocate for policies that positively impact women and girls across Sierra Leone. Asma James Foundation, providing adolescent reproductive health education and services to girls in Sierra Leone.
All right, welcome back. This is Mamdi's Lounge. We are coming to you today from Kimbima. Actually, Golden Tulip, Essential Kimbima is a new name for the then Kimbima Hotel. So that's where we are at, having this great conversation, talking about love. It's been really exciting, very interesting conversation with Mrs. Fadluddin and then Mercy Navo. Now, Mercy, before we went on the break, Atikiti was telling us, he just told us about, you know, the first shock that she got when she got here. I'll ask you that same question. What is that first thing that, you know, got you thinking that, why am I even here? What's that thing?
In all honesty, I don't think I was that shocked.
Okay.
Because I was kind of like prepared for it. My husband and his friends, whilst we were in the UK, they kept telling me about the conditions. You know, there's no electricity, there's no running water, the roads are bad. And then we got married in December 2007. So I made a visit in August of 2006.
Okay.
So I spent like about 3 weeks just coming to see if I think it would be somewhere that I will actually be able to come. So, yeah.
Did you go to the village?
I did. I went to his village, I went to the provinces.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how was that experience like?
That was a very different experience. The village was very different.
Okay. Okay, yeah.
So Auntie Kitty, I asked Mercy a question as well, and I want you to respond to that. Was this an evolution of love, or were you at any point in life thinking I was going to get married from someone from not just a different continent, but a different race as well?
Yes, it was an evolution of love. When you're 18, you just have no idea. You have, maybe you watch films and you say, oh, that man is handsome.
Yes.
You just feel like you're falling in love with somebody like that. And you have those kinds of fantasies. So it is an evolution of love. There are ups and downs in a marriage. You first of all, yes, you're in love. You get married, and then there is a plateau, and then you find a different type of love as you move on in life. Very, very different, and it's much more solid and it's much more endearing as you move on, because you become like brother and sister in the end. And you don't have to say anything to each other. You can just look at each other and you understand what's going through the other one's mind. You get to that lovely place.
So has there been any situation whatsoever, I mean, all throughout you being here or married to your husband, that you thought, I wish I hadn't taken this decision?
No, not even when we had to run away and from different crises, etc. No, I would always say this is part of my destiny, my experiences in life, and I have to cope with it. And God will give me the strength to cope with it. And so this is my own take on life. I've never said I wish I'd never been here. No.
So, Mercy.
But Mamdi, let me just add to her question. maybe nothing, but then it could be that in the relationship, the marriage, when you have quarrels, there's some disagreement over something so major, and you're thinking that, nah, I don't think I want this anymore. Anything like that?
It might surprise you, but that has never happened. It has never happened in our lives.
Wow. Mercy, you?
Mercy.
How is the society like? We all know that families, sort of interfere. Often try to interfere in relationships, in marriages and things like that. Maybe where you're coming from, it's not so much the case. So that must have been difficult for you, right? So how were you able to deal with that as a person? I mean, without getting your husband coming in to sort it out the way he wanted it. How were you able to deal with it?
Thankfully, the instances of interference wasn't ever anything major.
Okay.
Right? It was never anything really major. I think from the word go, I think he drew that line from the word go. That this is my wife, this is my family, I love you guys, but you all have to leave us alone to sort things out for ourselves, to work things out in our own way. So the instances were not anything really major that needed me to actually say something or, yeah.
All right. So now let's talk about food. I know. And the language. So you are coming from...
And religion?
And
Yeah, major. I mean, let's just talk about integration. How are they able to fit in?
Yes, food, the
So
language,
food, everything.
religion,
Language.
because, I'll start with you.
Well, the language is, I'm comfortable with it now. But I know it is a very important part of living in another culture, that you should learn the language. It is up to you to learn the language. And fortunately, Creole, I could understand Creole a lot before I actually spoke it. And going to the market often helps you. At least you begin to talk the very rudimentary type of language, Creole, to buy something or haggle over something. So the food here is incredibly delicious. And my in-laws would always say, "Can you cook this already?" And I say, "Yes." He said, "Really?" I said, "Yes." They don't believe me, but I do cook.
Can you?
You see, you don't believe me.
As you can see, you cook cassava leaf.
Yes, so.
Fufu?
Yes. And I could cook them over Firestone self.
Oh, nice.
In those days, we didn't have electricity, so we had gas stove. When the gas ran out, you cooked on the fire stove. So that's what you do. You stoop over it and you cook. Everything on that.
Wow. So you really made some adjustments.
Yeah.
Major adjustments.
Mercy.
I give you guys credit.
I know. What was it? I mean, like the whole integration thing that John mentioned. You sabi talk Creole?
I sabi talk Creole. I talk them very well.
Okay.
People like in Kolewe, I can talk. So the language, I think I learned to speak Creole predominantly from attending church services, because at my church they do the services mainly in Creole. So that was, then also you had the practicing, going to the market, buying, interactions from day to day. The food, I can cook the dishes. I've never made fufu and tikiti. I don't know if it's because I don't really like it too much, the actual fufu of itself, but the plasas and the stew and the togbote, and yes, I know how to cook it. I learned how to light the coal pots when I got here. It was my first time, so I learned that here. I learned how to do the kerosene lamp. Being here was my first time to see the kerosene lamp. Actually, I learned how to use the coal goose. Although my husband told me don't use it again because I burnt several of his clothing trying to the ashes falling on it. So so for me, the integration part, it was fun actually. I didn't see it as, it wasn't anything that was kind of like to have me down, and it was fun. I had people around me that were very understanding, very patient, very tolerant, and they were very helpful. Sierra Leoneans, generally, my experience as a foreigner, very, very accommodating. So that was good from my integration.
Nice.
I was just wondering though, in terms of your integration into Sierra Leonean life, Auntie Kitty, you've been here for my whole
49.
More than my whole lifetime.
49.
You know, so I'm thinking,
Okay.
I mean, I know you've been involved with the Balanta and a lot more. That's, you know, dance and everything. I don't know what Mercy has been involved in, but it shows that you have kind of integrated very well in our society. But tell us a bit more about what you've been doing.
Yes, I'm fortunate to have something that I can offer Sierra Leone in the sense that
Did that help?
yes,
in any way
it
to
helped
sort
a
of-
lot
yeah.
because then I had my own thing to do and he had his own thing to do, and we both respected that we had needed time for both of that. Yes, and we supported each other. In other words, if I had a concert on, he would be there in the audience, and if we had a golf competition, I would be there at the prize giving, that sort of thing. You know, so we knew that we need to give each other the chance to enjoy what you really like to do, or you know, or you need it somewhere else. Yes, I was very fortunate that I had a niche to go into, and.
So, I'm sure there are things you miss from back home, you know. You guys are human beings, you've lived most of your growing up,
and all.
you know, you've lived your countries to come to stay here, settle here, and there are things you used to do back in Singapore and in Trinidad, you know, that you actually miss. So, what are some of these things, Mercy? What are some of the things that you really miss about Trinidad that you don't find here?
What do I miss about Trinidad? I've been away from Trinidad so long. I left Trinidad in 2000. So that's 19 years ago. So it's been a while. I think probably the major thing would be family for me. That's the thing I would say I miss. My mom, my dad, brothers, sisters. I have very close friends there, you know. That proximity that you usually have with them, family gatherings, my church fellowship definitely, because I was very active there as well. I love to sing. I'm a praise and worship leader, so you know I miss that also. Although I do it here as well, but it's a difference. So I think for me the number one thing would be family and friends. That's what I miss. Sorry?
Your family members have visited
My
Sierra Leone.
sister has visited twice. My mom and dad visited for the first time in April.
Wow.
And what did they think? They loved Sierra Leone, and they were happy to come and finally see where I am at and
how you're doing,
how we're doing, and I know that they've left very settled. If they were not settled at all before, extremely settled and satisfied. My mom called me like a month after she left saying that she misses Sierra Leone so much and she doesn't feel the same. I'm like,
That's pity. What is that? What is it that you miss really? You know, in Singapore. What?
I miss the ease with which you can get food. I mean, in Singapore we have a very vibrant food culture. Everywhere there are food shops, food courts. I grew up in what we call a hawker. When a hawker comes by the house and he has something to sell, and you just pay very little. It doesn't cost very much. Like skewers, meat skewers that they call satay, and he roasts that right in front of you, and you buy. So I miss that aspect of it, because over here you have to either cook the food yourself, or we can't afford it to go to a restaurant every time. You know, it's expensive. So that aspect I miss a lot, and so yeah.
Do you go back to Singapore from time to time?
Yes, I still have my mother still alive. She's 96, so I now visit more often than I used to. Yeah.
Okay. And your siblings are there?
No, all three of us are not there, but we visit her.
Okay, and you have other family taking care of your...
We have somebody whom we have paid to look after her.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, you know, we're trying to wrap up the program now, but of course there are people who are in Sierra Leone who are non-Sierra Leoneans, you know, maybe married to Sierra Leonean men, theirs has not been so great. You know, they're struggling to sort of get their heads around what's happening in this country. So you've had a very, of course, both of you, your experiences have really been great. So let's say somebody's watching you now that is really struggling to get their heads around being here.
Let me just chip in. Even we, the Sierra Leonean women, some who like, okay, where did these women find these gold Sierra Leonean men? Because it's like they're made in heaven and sent to earth, and like, how come we haven't met these good Sierra Leonean men that are like them?
Yes, go on.
I don't know that I can answer that question.
So speak to those non-Sierra Leoneans, you know, who are married to Sierra Leonean men, but yet they're struggling, you know, because of very varied reasons. I mean, you've had experiences being here. Maybe they're struggling with being here as non-Sierra Leoneans. You know, the whole, like John mentioned, the whole. What is it called now? What did you say?
Integration.
Exactly, the whole integration thing.
I think one of the things that I would advise is to think what comes out of your mouth as in what you are saying. And I think you need to use a lot of imagination to become the other person who listens to what you are saying, how that will impact that person. Because I learned this from somebody else. You cannot eat your words. So be careful of what you say. Think very carefully about what you say. And I go the extra mile. I imagine what the words sound like to the recipient of what I say. So that I don't intend to hurt anybody, but you have to put your words so carefully that the meaning is not going to be misconstrued. Because you can distort a meaning, you can, again, with the tone of your voice, whatever it is, you have to be very careful of all that every time, even if it is to another person, a woman, not necessarily to another man.
I think being open and honest with your partner about how you feel, probably the challenges and hardships that you are facing, and then as an individual, for me, being sacrificial, learning to sacrifice sometimes, being selfless, communication, you know, for me it's just that determination, that purpose at the back of my head that we've thought this through, we've discussed it, this is what we decided that we will do, and therefore I will put my best foot forward and do whatever it takes to try to make this relationship, this marriage, a success. And obviously it takes compromise on both sides. It takes sacrifice from the both sides. And for me personally, ultimately, it's about keeping Christ at the center of my relationship, of our relationship, keeping him at the center. And he gives the grace, he gives you the ability to be patient, the ability to love, So,
all right, so John?
Yes.
We're wrapping up now, so I want all of us to wrap up in
Mamdi,
Creole.
let me just ask one question, you know, which I didn't want us to leave. You know, her husband passed. At that point, did you ever think that, okay, my love affair with Sierra Leone is done, let me pack up and go back home? Did you ever think of that?
I would not go back to Singapore. If I were to leave, it would be maybe to visit my children who are abroad as well, my family. I still have work here that I enjoy doing, and I still have a lot of young people who I want to continue to support, let's put it that way. And if I go somewhere else, it will be just like I have nothing else to do with my life. I'd much rather have a purpose in life. And in doing that, you get great satisfaction, and you know that you haven't wasted time. You have tried to do what the good Lord says, love thy neighbor as thyself. So that's what's important.
Nice. John, so we wrap up now.
Yeah.
So every single one of we want to wrap up in Creole, and it starts with you.
You know, Mercy don't use three words that I want to just touch on. First, use love. When I've been for my husband to him, in how he treats all the things around, because he moved from a different country to Salon. He show a love way for make he continue to stay with him and feel attracted to him. But also use respect, where the man use for treat his own family, so that Mercy will feel accepted. The third word we use, a compromise, because in this business, a constant workshop. So you always forget the edges. You arrange them as they go. You get the edges fixed so that the side way, if you come in this way not fit, you can always remove and move back to the next slot and see if you go fix. If you're not fixed, you still get time for both. So you use them 3 words and they and compromise. Now been the one we use when I've been for always bend backwards for accommodate not only wrong things or for positively get the right things done, because like you say, for left them country then cancer alone. That means them bend a great deal backwards for accommodate their husband decision, or for make the decision or follow through with the decision where they make in their life. Say, this is what I want to do, and I go stay for doing.
Mercy. So you can, if you can in Korea, that would be nice. If not, it's okay.
Okay. In this time, Naya, Auntie Hannah one of them been posing questions. Say, Usa we find the man there na salon when a good man them. I sure say them boku where they dey. What we get for do now for take time. We meet somebody, you take time for get for know the person, and yes, looks in matter, but go for within the last.
Yeah.
You look to the character of the person. Look for within the lasting attributes. At the end of the day, the looks go fade. Sometimes the money it go away. The oath you go lost some, but the character of the person. That compatibility now you they look for, and you determine say this relationship where they go inside, they do whatever it take, and they become selfless, and they become sacrificial for make sure say he able go before he able last.
Thank you. And you did?
Well, I guess so many things for say, but we really think say if you not get each other, things could be very difficult, because you get for talk over things with you, man. You get for talk over things with you. Like the time where we lost we ost totally. People will say, well, what you go do now? So we say, well, at least we get we life. The ost and all the things we're inside, not things. We can acquire them back again. But we get we life, and we love for each other. We go see them through, and as God say, we see them through. Today we get another oath. We managed to get them together with the children help we, and apart from that, we get beautiful family. We get 6 grandchildren now.
Oh, wow.
So and we get in-laws where we're in a different race as well. Well, my son don't married one Palestinian American.
Wow.
My daughter married Ghanaian American, and my other son being married somebody where get some Lebanese blood. Anyway, so what thing I want to say, get for see people as inside their soul, not to which in they look, how they look, because you're not go able to do anything if you just want compartmentalize them, but just try for see beyond that.
Yeah.
And then you go find you man, you correct man, you go nurture them, and you go find the love where you look for.
Thank you so much, Hannah. Quickly.
Thank you, Mercy and Auntie Kitty, for sharing your stories with us. Beautiful love stories. And for me, I see that we learn, now like a mirror, we see that for women them also, if they want good woman them, I mean, the way una man them treat una, una forsake so much and take them. for come here and start everything afresh, you know. And it take a lot, but una man them make una feel welcome. They not make the family, extended family, overrule una or take advantage of una. They make like you say, they make like you feel like a princess, you know. So I think, say for me, the essence of this episode, now for sure, sometimes day within we SSF salon to salon, in relationships, what do they do or not they do right, you know, in terms of how they relate to each other, you know. I mean, I don't learn a lot of lessons here that you get for be accommodating. Lots of sacrifice they take place. So thank you very much for the sharing of our experiences with me.
All right, thank you, Hannah. Well, Pambul, I should say you said don't learn as much as we. You said don't learn plenty from Auntie Kitty and Mercy, you know, on the love story. But waiting me really like a one for end up with. I know we all don't talk go come. This issue about love involves a lot, but there are fundamental things and way you know how for discard, you know how for ignore. The sacrifice. It's about sacrifice. It's about being tolerant. You know, we go for tolerate each other because some people and everybody attitude different. We go for be tolerant. We go for be supportive to one another. If this whole enterprise of love we talk about will stand, I should say part of Auntie Kitty, the success stories and Mercy, where they can share with today, hinge on them basic principles there. So me, I really don't get a good time, you know, with them ladies there. So that they lounge today. It's been an absolute pleasure having you, Auntie Kitty and Mercy. And we hope so we'll call Una back at some point, you know, and you know, visit the lounge again if we call upon Una at any point. So on behalf of all of us, it's been Mamdi's Lounge coming to you from AOIV Television, and to come your way again in another edition. My name is Mamadi Gube Kamara. Hello and welcome to another exciting edition of Mamdi's Lounge.
Mamdi's Lounge Season 2 is here, and it keeps getting bigger and better. Our conversations are spicy with guests that give in-depth insights to every topic. It's Mamdi's Lounge, your one-stop shop for great conversations.
We know that when there are crises, women are usually the first responders. They come to the community, they help out.
The bride price is not looked at as placing a value on the woman. It's looked as a commitment.
So I think it is something we should look at. It is endemic in our society. And for us to address it, it's going to take a national call.
Every Thursday, 8 p.m. on AYV TV, Channel 33.